Hi there! My name is Anna. Today we are going to be scientists together. Scientists are people who explore new things, asking questions, experimenting, and finding the answers. Today we will be scientists of the Hudson River. Have you ever been to the Hudson River before? Let's take a look. Welcome to Hudson River Park. This is where lots of kids just like you can explore and learn all about what makes the Hudson River so special. This section of the river is located right between New York City and New Jersey. What sort of living things do you see in Hudson River Park? There's lots of plants and animals that live on land and underwater at Hudson River Park. We're about to meet some of the aquatic wildlife very soon, but first, where does this river come from? Let's find out. Here is a map that shows us where the Hudson River is. Can you find the Hudson River? Here it is. The Hudson River is 315 miles long. This yellow dot is New York City, where you can visit our park. This brown area represents mountains, and this is where the Hudson River begins. The source or beginning is a lake called Lake Tear of the Clouds. Can you say Lake Tear of the Clouds? That's right. This lake has fresh water, which means there is no salt, kind of like the water that we drink. So this means the river begins with what kind of water? Fresh water, that's right. Now, the Hudson River actually ends in salt water. The ocean. The Hudson River empties into the ocean at the mouth of the river. Can you find the Atlantic Ocean? Here it is, the salty Atlantic Ocean. So, the Hudson River actually starts as fresh water, but eventually connects to salt water. I wonder what happens in the middle when fresh and salt water meet. Let's do an experiment with my friend Tina to find out.
So this experiment is going to show us about the type of water that we have in Hudson River Park, as well as show us this estuary environment. So to start, the Hudson River's source or start is in the Adirondack Mountains at Lake Tear of the Clouds. Lakes are bodies of water that don't have salt, so we categorize them as fresh. So we filled this container with tap water because it also is fresh water, meaning it has no salt. So on this side, we're going to make this our freshwater source of the river. Add a label and then some yellow so that we can see the difference between our types of water. And so after the freshwater source, the Hudson River actually continues on 315 miles and empties out into its mouth, which is the Atlantic Ocean at New York Harbor. So on this side, we're going to make this our salt water. And we make it, of course, salty by adding salt. So lots of salt in here, and then some blue so we can have some color distinction again. Okay, so we have, of course, to recap, our freshwater source from Lake Tear of the Clouds in the Adirondack Mountains, and our saltwater mouth of the Atlantic Ocean. Now, these two types of water meet and mix together, which is what we experience here in Hudson River Park. So to see how they interact, we're going to take out this divider and see what happens. And we'll give it just a minute to settle out. But you'll see really instantly there's some movement happening. So right away when I remove the divider, you'll see that the blue or our salt water sunk to the bottom. And our fresh water, which was white, yellow is floating at the top. But we'll also see there's actually a new layer in the middle. It's green, a mixture of the salt and the fresh, or blue and yellow. And that new layer is called brackish water. brackish water is a combination of salt and fresh water, just like how blue and yellow make green. Brackish water is the combination of the two. Now, once this fully settled, we'll see there's a layering or a stratification that happens between these three kinds of water. And this happens because of the density of each of them. Salt water is dense. It's the heaviest water of the three, so therefore it's sunk to the bottom of our model. Whereas fresh water, we didn't add in any of this extra weight of the salt, so it's light and it floated to the top of our model. And then we're able to guess that if we have the heaviest and the lightest, the brackish water is right in the middle. It's a little bit salty, it's a little bit fresh, and therefore the middle density of the three. But in Hudson River Park, there's a lot of forces that act upon this water, and we don't see this stratification really clearly. Instead, we have forces like wind, tides, currents. All of this actually creates the water to mix together, and you'll see it's actually more green throughout or brackish throughout. Now, brackish water is a water that's associated with a really productive environment called an estuary. So Hudson River Park's waters are an estuary environment, meaning that it's a place where salt and fresh water meet and mixes together.
Thanks, Tina. So like she said, brackish water is found in a place called an estuary. Let's say estuary together. Estuary. Nice job. An estuary is a special environment where many different types of life can live together. This is a picture of what you might find in the river if you were to look under the surface. This big piece of wood here is called a pile, which holds up the piers we walk on at the park. Underwater, you can see that they help to create shelter for all kinds of life. What living critters can you find in this picture? Well, let me introduce you to a few up close. Among the piles of Hudson River Park, we can find animals like blue crabs, seahorses, oysters, and many different types of fish like the striped bass. There are more than 200 species of fish in the Hudson River, and they come in all different shapes and sizes. These are the types of fish we see the most in Hudson River Park, where there are about 70 different species. Can you find the striped bass? Here it is, right at the top. Here we have two juvenile fish caught from fishing rods, a blackfish or tautog, and a snapper or juvenile bluefish. After we catch any fish, we write down the type, the size, and where it was caught before we release them back to the river. This helps us keep track of the types of fish and how healthy the water is. Now let's see what's over in our touch tank. This is a smaller type of fish called a feather blenny. This one still has more growing to do, but it will only grow to be about 3 to 4 inches, or about the size of your hand. Here is one of our favorite fish. This is an oyster toe fish, and their habitat, or home, is at the bottom of the river. They like to hide in dark places like under rocks, wood, or even pipes. They wait in these hidden spots for prey like small fish and crabs to pass by, and when prey wanders too close, they jump out and grab it. When animals hunt in this way, they are called ambush predators. Oyster toe fish have a similar life cycle to many other fish. A life cycle shows us all the stages of life, from the beginning as a baby to adulthood. Toefish begin their lives as eggs, guarded by their parents until they hatch. You can see in this picture the eggs are really small and kind of see-through. Toefish hatch into baby fish called larvae that still carry a part of the egg yolk with them for food for the next few days. Toefish grow bigger and bigger until they grow into an adult, about the size of a foot. Then male toefish start looking for a nest and then try to attract a female. Once the female lays eggs in the nest, the male fertilizes them and the cycle begins again. Here is the sound of an oyster toefish attracting a mate. They can be heard underwater for a very long distance. Well, Toady and I have to get going, but we want to thank you for being a scientist today with us and meeting the amazing wildlife in Hudson River Park. Now at home, you can do a fun craft and sing a song about all the parts of a fish that are so important to their survival in the wild. Just ask an adult to help you to this webpage at the top and click on the Bob the Blub STEM Activity of the Week. You can find new crafts and experiments on our website every week. Have a great day!